Tami. Got it.
So, good morning, Shavua Tov. We're in Parashat Shoftim, which is a very, very interesting parasha. Among the parashot that deal with Sefer Dvarim, all the parashot deal with the Knisa La'aretz. Shoftim, for sure, is the main parasha dealing with the way of ruling, of way of reigning in Eretz Israel. We have, as Kadmonim said, we have Mishkan, Rashei Tevot, abbreviation of Melech, Shofet, Kohen, and Navi. We have all the four cities. You know that nowadays, after the French Revolution, we're used to three authorities, הרשות השופטת, הרשות המבצעת, execution, and הרשות המחוקקת, okay, constitution. But in the Torah, we have four rashuyot, four authorities. We have the shofet, we have the melech, okay? We have the shofet, which is his hand to make sure that everything is being done. And then we have the kohen, which is a spiritual authority. Sometimes it gives the melech, it has to tell him that you're not okay. You're not going to according to the Torah, and therefore all the Nevi'im say Kohanim lo alchu ve'melech. They don't blame just the melech; they blame the Kohanim that they have ruined their way. And we have the Navi. Okay, I want to discuss several things. The famous one is the melech, and after the melech, we'll deal with the edim. So we have a very interesting parasha in Sheni. כי תבוא אל הארץ, פסוק י"ד, אשר יהיה השם אלוקיך נותן לך, וירשת וישבת בה, ואמרת, אשימה עלי מלך ככל הגויים אשר סביבותיי. So there is an inner contradiction between ואמרת, meaning to say it depends on you, and you don't have to do it. Just in case that you're interested in a king, then you might appoint a king as you want. It's mamash like ותקרבון אליי כולכם, the beginning of ספר דברים, ותאמרו נשלחה אנשים לפנינו ויחפרו לנו את הארץ, etc. What does it mean? It means that ויחפרו לנו את הארץ, it depends on us. הקדוש ברוך הוא doesn't tell us to sell מרגלים, but we are interested in that. The same thing happens לכאורה, on the one hand, ואמרת, by the word ואמרת, but the very following words say, som תשים עליך מלך, אשר יבחר השם אלוקיך, and not only that you have to do it, but you have conditions. לא תוכל לתת עליך איש נוכרי. We know the problem with the Agrippas, that was איש נוכרי in a way, and therefore he cried when he read this posuk. So is it a mitzvah, mitzvah taseh? We know that the Rambam counted appointing a melech as mitzvah taseh. He says that that's one of the main goals of the Mashiach, as we saw in the Shiurim of the Mashiach. And or that it's not a mitzvah at all. It depends on you. What does it mean? ככל הגויים אשר סביבותיי? It gives us an aroma, an odor of imitating the nations around us, meaning to say that it's not something that you have to do. So it's a big machloket. We know that when Am Yisrael comes to Shmuel in Perek Chet, Shmuel Aleph, and asks for a kingdom, for a king, so he is very angry at them. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is angry in a way, and just it takes him a lot of time to appoint the king. And then in Perek Yud Bet he comes and gives a very long shmuz and blames them that you have asked for a king, etc. If it's a mitzvah, they want to fulfill a mitzvah. Why should you say anything bad about it? So there is a machloket, and it's very interesting to see that the shitot, the oath, whether a king is good or not, depends on the individual's experience with the kingdom. Let's say that Abarbanel, who lived at the end of the 15th century in Portugal and Spain, and suffered from the kingdom because he was Sar Haotzar, and then he was expelled to Naples with all the Gerush Portugal. So he said that, like Machiavelli, the worst thing to do is kingdom, because kingdom is always shchitut, is always something to be in crooked, something to be degenerate, okay, something to be non-honest, dishonest. And other things, other meforshim like Rambam, Rambam understood that the problem in the Rambam's era was Arabic tribes that came into Spain, but he looked at the Malchut in Egypt, in Mitzrayim, like a very honest Malchut, like a normal one. He didn't like the Muslims, but he says, okay, that's a normal Malchut, and therefore he doesn't have such a negative attendance according towards kingdom. The Netziv is famous with his saying that a Torah never chose. Now we're talking a lot about democracy, but according to the Torah, we don't have anything pro or con democracy. The Torah says that humanity will decide what's the best way to reign. And if we decide that democracy is the best way, okay. If you decide that king is the best way, it's okay. Oligarch, whatever, till you don't suppress others and you give equal rights to anybody, and you fulfill the mitzvot of the Torah, you give tzedakah, whatever. So no problem at all. So I just want to discuss, it's famous, but we have to discuss it because it's very choshuv to our days, the famous Drashot Haran and the Rambam on this mitzvah, on the mitzvah of the Melech. We know that a lot of people ask nowadays, more after the reform, and if you're pro or con, one of the big ta'anot against the reform, the judicial reform, is that it will make Eretz Israel into a Medinat Halacha. And now a lot of commentators understand now that the non-religious people feel that more and more the demography changes, and in 50 years there'll be more and more Haredim, religious people, less and less non-religious people, and the non-religious are very afraid, and the whole itnegdut to the reform, judicial reform, comes from a real fear that Medinat Israel will be different in 20, 30 years, even earlier, according to some people. And what we would do, how would we live as a non-religious people in a Medinat Halacha? So a lot of Rabbanim discuss it nowadays. What the really situation be in such a way? Because from our side, we have to decide. We don't want to, we never think like the Taliban, that we want to enforce a halachic system on people that don't get it. But we have to decide, what do we do? How would it be then? So the mitzvah of the Melech is very, very relevant, because the Ran says that basically, if you look at the Torah doesn't enable you to live in a normal world, because if you look at all the mitzvot, you have two edim. Now in our Parshat, we'll talk it at length in 2 minutes about it, but we see several times that we have the mitzvah of edim, al pi shnayim edim o shlosha edim yumat hamet. So the Torah depends on the witnesses, the possibility to kill, the possibility to punish. If they come and say that I have mechalel Shabbat b'meizit, they kill me by skila. And the question is what happens in a world that lives on edim, okay? Because yesterday some criminals tried to kill somebody else in one of the junction on Kvish Mispar Echad, okay, and escaped. But usually, and generally speaking, people don't kill each other in public, okay, because they are afraid of some chok. So they do it Baseter. You don't have people to be matre. According to the Torah, women are not witnesses. So how, if you have women watching, you cannot be matre. You cannot warn the person that if he does it, he is going to death. So basically speaking, even if we're all religious, we're all men, not women. Nowadays, it seems that you cannot punish a person just by atra'ah, because atra'ah, warning, is good when the whole system is religious. And then, if you are very charig, exceptional, but not, you forgot that it's Shabbat, you forgot that you shouldn't kill a person, and you decide, you are so angry at him, you want to take revenge of him, and you forgot, you don't think that about the possibility that you get punished, then we have a warning to Shata Mekabel al Atzmicha, that even though you decide to kill, and then we can kill you. But in a system that religious doesn't rule, it doesn't make any sense to do it by atra'ah. And therefore, the Ran says, one of the Rishonim, in his drashot, he has a very famous perush on the Shas, and he has a book of drashot, very famous drashot. The main one is Drasha Yud Aleph, dealing with the system of Medina Yehudit in our parasha mainly. And he says there that therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu established the samchut of the Melech to correct things up, to correct the Torah up, meaning to say that living by the laws of Torah is quite impossible, because as I said, if you don't have witnesses, you can kill as much as you want, nobody would do you anything. According to the Torah, we don't have ma'asar, we don't have prison at all. Pay attention. Look, how many times do you remember a prison in the Tanakh? We have Yosef was put in prison, but Yirmiyah, they wanted to put him in some jail, in order that he won't damage, he won't be able to give his prophecies. But we don't find a jail, a prison, imprisoning a person as a matter of punishment, almost in the Torah. And nowadays everything is prison. Okay, a rape, stealing, theft, cheating, everything is prison, even murder. We don't kill murderers, we just put them in prison. So the Ran says that therefore we have the system of the king. The king is, it might be a king, it might be, according to Rav Kook, the democracy, the chosen PMs that we choose every 4 years, supposed to be, as our representative, and they decide what's the best way to handle the Malchut. And if they decide that in most cases we put person in prison, so in most cases we put in prison. And even a murderer, we can decide that he doesn't, we can decide from the one hand, if a king decides that nowadays we have a lot of problem with the Arabs in criminal gangs that they kill almost every day, and it won't last by the Arabs, it will be by us, because it's a lot of weapon, and it's a big problem, and protection and money. So if we don't solve it out, we might decide, let's say, that if somebody kills each other in this way, we kill him, and that's the right of the Melech. It's not Lefidin Torah. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin that there were some tkufot, periods of time, in which Chazal paid attention that the tzniut was very, very bad. I don't want to say it in public, but the Gemara says that people made things in public, and so they were malkim on it. There was malkot, there was a punishment on it, even though that it's not written. Okay, let's say that we find that Lashon Hara is something nowadays with shaming in the internet. We find that you can kill a person, and there is no other way, because if you sue him to court, so it will take him years, or the court will decide that you don't have to pay, and they destroyed your name, legamre. okay, because they said bad things about you. So we might decide, the king must decide that the only way to handle it is to give a Malkot to
flogging.
How? Sorry?
Flogging.
Okay, thanks. And that will be the pitaron, the solution to this case. So the Melech gives us a very different system. It's very interesting. The Torah understands it, that the Torah understands its migbalot, its limits. And therefore, the Torah gives you a very abstract way of handling. The king can decide almost everything he wants if it's rational. And the same system is given, as I said, according to Rav Kook, but not only him. According to Rav Kook, the Knesset has the same system of Malchut. And therefore, you mamash, the way that we live now in Medinat Israel is mamash the way of Torah, meaning to say that even if we have more and more religious people and we have a lot of things that changes socially in Medinat Israel, I don't think that the judicial system will dramatically change, because we'll use the same system till you have 20, 30, 40 or even 5% of non-religious people. You cannot make a mishtar. If you have 99% of religious people and they're all mekablim chukei Torah, okay, so you might then decide that if you are mechalel Shabbat, then you have the punishment that the Torah gives you. But once you have even 2%, 3% of non-religious people, it means that there is a mamash. It's not yechidim, it's not individuals. It's a lot of people. Okay, and out of 10 million people, that will be by then it's 100,000 people. Okay, just 1%. So if you have so many people that don't mekablim al atzmam the system of laws of the Torah, you will have to use the Melech system, and the Melech will decide the same things as we do it now. If you want to stop with the public transport in Medinat Israel, the same questions that we have nowadays with the non-religious, that they go anyway to sports, to canyon, whatever, to the mall, and it might be that it's better than letting each and every one of them to use his own car or her car, and then we have a lot of Chilulei Shabbat of individuals. Maybe it's better to bring them a bus, and the public bus, one bus, will make the Chilul Shabbat bus for 50 people. So maybe it's less Chilul Shabbat. On the other hand, it's the Reshut HaRabim. Maybe it doesn't have what we call Tzivyon of Medina Yehudit. Okay, we want the Reshut HaRabim to be something that is unique to Medina Yehudit. So the same discussions that we have nowadays will have in 20 years, because it doesn't matter whether you have 50 or 60 or 70%, or we have 20%. It's the same thing. So the chashivut, the significance of the Melech is very, very unique, because the Melech enables you be'etzem not to fulfill by law. It's mamash by the Torah. You can nihilize the laws of Torah ke'ilu, if you understand that they are impractical, and to bring the ways that the society decides. And therefore, I think it's an I've talked about the inner stira, the inner contradiction between ve'amarta and Son Tasim Aleich HaMelech. On the one hand, it's a mitzvah. On the other hand, it's a reshut. But according to the Ran, is mamash natural, because the melech is something that comes from you. You decide. The Torah gives you the power. It's not like what we are used to, what Ramban says, that Torah nitna lechachmei Torah, meaning to say that Chachmei Torah got the power from the Torah to decide, to mold the laws of the Torah, to decide what the balances between them, to decide how extreme they'll be. That's one issue. But here it's mamash that you decide practically what to do. If you think that Malkot is enough, Malkot is enough. If you think that it's just a knas, okay, or a fee, to pay, so it will be enough, and you don't have to do anything more than that. So that's very chashuv, one issue I wanted to discuss, because with the Melech Be'etzem, we have the system to maintain a modern society in Mediנת Israel. The second issue that I wanted is, as I said, is the issue of Eidim. We have in this parasha, for the first time, and it's very interesting, because if you learn Baba Kama, you learn Sanhedrin, you learn Makot, you learn Baba Metzia, Baba Batra, Zamir, Ktubot, Kiddushin, Gittin, everything is based on Eidim. Okay, and Bachur Yeshiva in his years of learning learns quarter of his time sugyot with Eidim. And in the Torah, we don't find it kimat before. We find it just mainly in this parasha several times. Okay, let's say it starts כי ימצא בקרבך באחד שעריך אשר יעשה את הרע וילך ויעבוד אלוהים אחרים. So till now we don't know how you know about it. והוגד לך ושמעת. And that's a basic way that the Torah wrote about things. והוגד לך ושמעת. Last parasha, Parshat Re'eh, we have the din of עיר הנידחת, we have the din of מסית ומדיח. So somebody said to you, and you know because it's your friend, it's your relative, it's somebody from your own town, ודרשת היטב והנה אמת נכון הדבר, נעשתה התועבה הזאת בישראל. והוצאת את האיש ההוא, או את האישה ההיא, אשר עשו את הדבר הרע הזה על שעריך, את האיש או את האישה, וסקלתם באבנים ומתו. Okay, that's one issue of the Torah. Okay, but now, the Torah suddenly says, על פי שניים עדים, או שלושה עדים, יומת המת, לא יומת על פי עד אחד. So the Torah for the first time tells us that we have a way to decide if something is true. We have two edim. It's a question, why do we need three? But as the Mishnah asks that, and leave it now. We have two edim, two witnesses. If they say that something happened, so you must kill him. They might be that they are a sheker. We don't know that it's true because we don't have any. We're humans. We don't know what truth is or not. It might be that they're liars, but that's the only way that the Torah understands that we can decide by two edim. And the Torah says yad edim tiyeh bo barishona la'amito. And then that's in a mita, in a killing, in a skila, in offenses that deserve killing. Then the Torah says again, later on Shishi, okay, after the king and all this, so we have again, לא תשיג גבול ברכה, לא יקום עד אחד באיש, לכל עוון ולכל חטאת. Now we see from the negative meaning, not that we know two or three. We don't, one is not enough. The Torah comes from the negative side. בכל חטא אשר יחטא, not only in killing, but in malkot, in dinei mamonot. If somebody is witnesses on a loan that I have loaned from you 100 shekels, I don't admit. That's because al pi shnei edim or al pi shlosha edim yakum davar. Okay, and then we have the Torah, the parasha. Since we talked about the edim, we have the parasha of edim zomemim, meaning to say edim that are liars, and we found them lying. Okay, and then we have the same thing that what they wanted to do, they will do. So we see here the edim is mamash the most, the biggest raya. Nowadays in the criminal judicial system, we say that the best raya, the best proof is oda'at ba'al din. Okay, if I come to the police and say I've murdered somebody, that's the best raya. They come, they handcuff me immediately, and then I have to tell them what I have done. But that's the best raya. I'll have a big problem later on in order to say that I was lying. But according to Din Torah, it's mamash on the contrary. If I admit, if I tell you what happened, it doesn't mean anything, because ein adam mesim atzmo rasha. And again, we see how difficult it is to do things by the laws of Torah. They are the laws of Elohim. Adam is an infinite living, and he cannot incriminate himself. He cannot say anything bad about himself in such a way. Okay, for the society, it's very good that I have come. I have doubts, like Dostoevsky in his book, that I have murdered somebody. So it disturbs me all the years. I come to the policeman and admit and say that I have done it. It's the best raya, it's the best thing to do. According to the Torah, it doesn't mean anything, and you have to go just to aiding. So we see here that we have basically two systems of aiding. I want to explain it in a minute. We have a day kiyum and we have a day beiru. What does it mean? In some things in the halacha, the edim doesn't establish the case. Let's say that I come to you, Mr. Fixter or Mr. Posner, and ask you for a loan of 100 shekels. You give me, and afterwards I deny. Okay, say nothing happened. What made the loan a loan? What made the case a case? The loan between you and me. Okay, nobody knows about it, so we have a problem. We need the shnei edim. But if I admit, if I come and the yesh hoda'at ba'al din, and I say yes, I've taken a loan on August 16th from Mr. Posner, that's enough. I make the I and Mr. Posner as a person who the loaner and as a person who takes a loan makes the case. The edim needs, just in case that there is it's not clear, there is no clarity about what happened, and then the edim make the berur, okay, make the berur of what happened. But we have a day kiddushin, let's say, when you are making kiddushin, we have two edim, and then the edim doesn't only testify that there was a kiddushin between the two people. They are a judicial part of the process, because without them, nothing is being done. Let's say that I have come to Beit Din and say, this is my wife. So the Gemara says explicitly, it doesn't help. The lo raya. Why? Because the chav le'achrine, because by making her my wife, she cannot get married out to get married with other people, and it's a chav le'achrine. But what happened if she comes and I come? We both come to Beit Din and say we have got married abroad in America, in New York, and we're married now. So both of us admit, not only me but her as well. If she would come, according to the Gemara, it's Shavia Nafsha Chaticha de Isura, okay? She wouldn't be able to marry out any other people because according to what you yourself say you're married, okay? So she comes and says, yeah, I'm married to me. And I say the same. According to halacha, it won't help. You need the two witnesses. And the Tzofnat Pa'aneach, the Rogachover, says something very nice. He says, why do we never inquire the edim of a day kiddushin? Okay, the Rav has to make sure when making the chuppah that they are ksherim le'edut, not psulei edut. You know that some people don't take people that smoke. Some people don't take people who make shtuyot on the road, that don't know to drive carefully. But when you take the two edim, you never inquire them. Never Beit Din will call them and ask them, what did you do? Just in very, very specific cases that we have a very big problem with the kshirut of the chatan and the kala, then we might do that. But the Rogachover asks, why don't we inquire? The Torah says ודרשת וחקרת היטב, ודרשו השופטים היטב, והנה את שקר העד, שקר ענה באחיו, maybe they are די שקר. So the Rogachover understands, answers that it's mamash the same, the two processes. When you have the Eidim that don't make the process, but just testify on it, like in a loan, like in Dinei Mamonot, so the process comes through because of the two people, because of the person who loans and the person who takes the loan. With the Eidim, just have to clarify what the situation was. Therefore, if you want to clarify, so where is the clarification being done? In Beit Din. So Beit Din says, okay, I have to inquire you, I have to ask you carefully, what did you see, when was it, etc. But in Kiddushin, on the contrary, the Eidim don't testify on something that happened between the two people. As I said before, if we come the two people and say we're a Chatan v'Kala, it doesn't mean anything. The Eidim are needed for the process. They are a part of the process. They are a part of the Edei Kiyum. They make it. Okay, they empower the situation to be a judicial situation. You don't come to a celebration, you come to a wedding. It was an official chuppah. Now they're married, Kedat Moshe V'Yisrael, just because of the two people and the two Eidim. And therefore, they establish the situation. They are not testifying on it from the outside. They make it. And therefore, don't come to Beit Din because they make it. Beit Din doesn't come and say, oh, what happened? Okay? If Beit Din says what happened, they ask them, they inquire them. But if Beit Din says no, I don't want you to testify on such a thing, just to know if it existed or not. So you are the one who makes it. Okay. Rabbi Milubavitch says a very beautiful thing. He says we have the same system, not only in halacha, in judicial system, but in metzius. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a metziut of Briat HaOlam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, but he is hidden. We know that you might look at the world and say there is no God. A lot of people say HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't exist. Chas v'shalom. On the other hand, David HaMelech says in Sefer Tehillim that ki yir'eh shamecha u'ma'aseh etzbeotecha yareach v'kochavim asher konanta. Okay, so you can look around, looking at the stars, the sun, the things, and understand, like Avraham Avinu, that there is a Borei Labira, but not everybody understands it. So you need witnesses. Where are the witnesses? So as we said, we have two parts of witnesses. We have one part that is a day beirur, just checking out what happened, like in a loan, like in Dinei Mamonot. That's Shamayim Va'aretz. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as he would say in Parashat Ha'azinu, or in Yeshayahu, Shimu Shamayim Va'azin Ha'aretz Ki Hashem Diber. As we know, we have the two Edim Ne'emanim, the Shamayim Va'aretz, saying that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has created things. Who established the world? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who made it? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He doesn't need Shamayim Va'aretz. The Shamayim Va'aretz are just two authorities that testify on the situation. In case that you don't know, I will tell you what happened. That's what happens with Shamayim Va'aretz. But as we said, there is another system of witnesses, a day kiyum, like in Kiddushin, that in a day kiyum, the people don't testify, they make the situation. Who is the day kiyum of HaKadosh? Who are the day kiyum of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the situation, says Rabbi Milubavitch? Am Israel. Not only the Shamayim Va'aretz, that they say what happened, Am Israel makes a situation. And pay attention, as we said in Kiddushin, that without the two people, there is no Metziut. There is no Metziut of Chatan v'Kala. If we say, we admit that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, yes, I have created the world, it won't help. We need the two witnesses to say that was a Metziut, because we create it. And therefore, we don't have Drisha v'Chakira, as said the Rogachover. So saying the Rabbi Milubavitch, the same thing happens with Am Israel. We testify, we say, we create, not just testify, we create the Metzius of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We bring all big ideas that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted by creating the world into practice, into the reality, into fulfilling them in Olam Hazeh. Therefore, ועמדו שני אנשים, ועמדו עם ישראל, and they make the מציאות of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we don't need דרישה וחקירה, okay? And as I said, we don't testify of something that happens like 6,000 years ago, like in the Dinei Mamonot, that we testify of something that happened that I have taken a loan from Mr. Posner. No, we create it each time that we stand. By standing under the chuppah, the 2 AD, make the Kiddushin. By standing in Olam Hazeh, Am Yisrael make the Kiddushin, make the Metziut of creating a world in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu exists, not only created, but exists. We see him, we see his presence in the world. And therefore, we have 2 systems. The Shamayim V'Aretz are the lower levels. They Beiru. They're just checking out what happened. If you don't know, ask them. They'll tell you by the Teva, by nature law, what happened. But if you want to really know and understand how HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates each and every minute the world, look at Am Yisrael. There are Atem Edai V'Ani Kel, as we see in the Haftarah of Shabbat Vayikra. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that you are my witnesses, and you are my witnesses, meaning that they kiyum of me, and therefore you make the Metziut to be as it is. Shavua Tov, and the Metziut.
Toda Rabah.
Toda.
Very
to all you all. Very
good.
That was good.